Hello folks, it's Charlie in Westeros here, and I am back with part 2 of my video series on 4 more major predictions I have for Season 6 of Game of Thrones. Today I will be talking about Arya and Sam's role for the next season, and if you haven't seen my other 2 prediction videos for Season 6 of Game of Thrones, check them out here or in the info box below. As always, a spoiler warning for those of you who have not read the books, and of course, a warning that these are just my thoughts and opinions for Game of Thrones, and nothing I say will necessarily come to pass. So, without further ado, here are my predictions.
Number 3, Arya and Braavos.
Since Bran will be making a reappearance in Season 6, and also given the numerous flashbacks we should be getting from his perspective with respect to past events in Game of Thrones history, just like in the books, I think it goes without saying that the magical or supernatural elements of the story will be very much heightened next season. As such, I have a hunch that warging will be played up as well. A few of my non-book reader friends have even begun to tell me that they suspect that all of the remaining Stark children with wolves have the ability to warg, and I think that at this point of the story, that element would be a perfect inclusion for next season. Given that the motto of House Stark is "Winter is coming," I think the show will play up the idea that the ability to warg will be linked to and heightened due to the arrival of winter, and as such, I believe that while Arya is going to be blind for at least part of the season in order to facilitate her, loss of identity as Arya Stark by the Faceless Men, I think that she will remember who she is deep down, thanks in no small part to her ability to warg into Nymeria, an integral part of Arya Stark that no other Faceless Man would be able to possess. I also suspect we will be seeing some key instances of events taking place in the south through the eyes of Arya warging into Nymeria, and although I did say that in the last video that we will be getting some payback against the Freys, in part thanks to Peter Baelish, I do wonder if a warged Nymeria will also be killing off some key individuals who, in the past, have wronged the Starks. In terms of some more obvious prediction points, I think that Arya will regain her sight halfway through the season, and other aspects of her story in the books will take place, including her improved ability to lie with ease, and her ability to detect the lies of others. Above all, I think that next season we will really see her becoming an elite assassin. And before I forget, and as I mentioned in my first predictions video, I suspect that Daenerys Targaryen will, by the end of Season 6, return to Westeros. Because of this, my hunch is that it would just be a part of a larger theme of everyone in the world turning their eyes towards the Seven Kingdoms, and I certainly think that Arya will be heading back west as well by the end of the season, signaling her return home. Finally. Again, winter is coming as the Stark house motto goes, and I think that in some function or other, all of the other Starks will be at the very least symbolically reunited to fight against their enemies.
Number 4, Sam in the South.
Although we know that Game of Thrones will be going for 8 seasons as opposed to 7, we will be getting more detail than I originally anticipated, but I do think that some storylines will nevertheless be condensed, and I think this goes for Sam's story as well. Sam and Gilly will reach the south, but unlike in the books, it appears they might be traveling by land. If indeed they do travel by land, it would make sense for Sam to stop by Horn Hill first, the seat of his house, in order to drop Gilly off with her child there, as I don't think his family would believe that he was able to get with the woman and have a child unless he was there to verbally inform them and pass little Sam off as his own in front of his parents. Of course, the other option is that they take a ship and land in Old Town, but I still suspect Sam would need to stop by Horn Hill at some point. Given that we already know that they have cast the roles for Sam's family, it would make for an interesting plot if, early in the season, we get to see Sam with his family and Gilly all together, and Sam would have to face probably the person he fears the most, being his father. I think that once that happens, his father, Randall Tarly, will be suddenly called to travel to King's Landing by Lady Olenna probably in order to assist the Tyrells in dealing with the Sparrows and help get Loras and Margaery out of their grasp. Kind of like in the books. With Randall and possibly his younger son off to King's Landing and Gilly at Horn Hill, I suspect that Sam will then head to the Citadel of Old Town to begin his studies so that he might become the new Maester of the Watch. Also, hints that Oberyn had more children than just the 3 Sand Snakes this past season, of course, indicates that we will also likely be seeing Alaris, i.e. Sorella Sand, at Old Town, and I am certainly looking forward to that character interacting with Sam if we do get that. As for the end result of Sam this season, here are some crackpot thoughts I have. I think that once the news reaches the South that the Night's Watch has fallen and that the North is in open rebellion, Sam will be strongly inclined to want to venture back north. However, imagine this. What if Randall Tarley and his younger son end up caught in the inferno Cersei will unleash on King's Landing when/if she opts to burn down the city? And of course, what if this results in their death? Without the Night's Watch and without his father and brother, Sam would effectively become the new Lord of Horn Hill, and he would have an armed force at his disposal. This could mean that Sam would be one of the few lords in Westeros with not only some greater knowledge as to how to fight the White Walkers following his stay in Old Town, but it would also effectively mean he would be one of the few Westerosi lords fully aware of the threat posed by the White Walkers. And he would need to seek out the assistance of Daenerys Targaryen and her dragons. But of course, that story arc, if it even does end up occurring, is something to be discussed for Season 7 and 8.
Bonus: The White Walkers.
So here's my bonus thoughts for the next season. Recently, a source close to the production team of Season 6 revealed that there are going to be some massive game-changing events by the White Walkers, and that the special effects for these epic creatures were going to be even more intense than they were for the Hardhome episode last season. Furthermore, we would be learning a lot more about these creatures from the Land of Always Winter, and that the planned scenes with them will, quote, break the internet. I suspect that some of these new pieces of information we will be learning about them will include not only why they want to venture south, but who they are exactly as well. And I do think that if Jon Snow is revived by the Night's King character, we will learn a whole lot more about their storyline through his gaze, as well as possibly Bran's, since he would have the ability to see things from the past and in different parts of Westeros. If the Boltons aren't decimated by the rebel Stark Lords and by the assistance from the Vale, as I anticipate, I think it would make for a very interesting turn of events if they are defeated by the invading army of undead White and White Walkers traveling south. But of course, that is crack pottery, and I would certainly need to have a lot more information before I can make a judgment call on these beings from the north. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. Let me know what you think of my predictions, if you agree, disagree, or if you would like to share your own ideas for Season 6 of Game of Thrones. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed, and have a look at some of my other videos, such as the ones in which I compare real-life events of our world to events that took place in Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire. Although this is supposed to be my last predictions video, there are still some characters and locations I haven't talked about, and there is still so much more news that is yet to be released for the next season. As more info comes out, I will be sure to make more prediction videos, but until then, I do have more content I intend to put out on YouTube relating to Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire. So until next time, folks, take care.